Guys, less than a month we get to meet Tom fucking Atkins. Less than a month.
I didn't actually look at the date.
Tom fucking Atkins. You know, I think I had a dream last night, and we met him, and he looked exactly the same as he did from this movie. But in 2021, like, holy shit, Tom Atkins, you don't age, man. How do you do it?
Smoking and beer.
Yes.
And women.
His only response was, thrill me.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the show. We are your hosts, Colin Peters.
Thrill me.
Fuck me, dude.
I said thrill me.
I'm gonna fucking thrill you.
I'm waiting. Thrill me. I don't respond to my name because I just respond with the words, thrill me.
Dude, I might actually choke you out today. Today's the day.
Thrill me? That would thrill me.
Oh, no.
Oh, my God.
Okay, alright, I'll drop the charade. John Rochetter here.
Fuck, I'm still on a strangle you.
And thrill me.
And obviously Jeff Manfred. Like, I feel like I'm the angriest dude.
You feel like you're angry? I'm holding it all in right
So
now.
Angry.
And I'm sitting next to the asshole.
We've got explosive anger and we've got implosive anger.
That's why I have issues.
And we've got the middleman.
I would say the fuse.
Catalyst that creates this entire hate fuel that I'm creating.
Don't be a cocksucker, John.
You are a cocksucker. You were late again, too.
Thrill me. I'm going to keep saying that. Thrill me.
For those of you who don't know what we're going to be talking about, thanks to John Rochetter, we are going to be talking about a underground classic, I guess you would call this.
I'd say underrated.
Underrated, Yes, that is very good. I don't remember what year this was exactly.
86.
86?
Yep.
Okay, thank you, John. Ah, there you go,
The
Jeff. We
glorious
finally
year
got
Jeff
another
Manfred
year.
was born.
Got another good movie for a year for you.
Exactly.
Yes.
This is Night of the Creeps. It is directed by Fred Dekker. It stars the one and only Tom motherfucking Atkins.
Tom Atkins.
Our show's mascot and a personal favorite of all three of us.
I'd say, honestly, plus this was a nice way to finish out our halfway to Halloween month, because it has everything. It's got the horror, it's got the sci-fi, and it's also got the comedy. Like, there's no way you can't get away from it.
And also, I was just going to say, we just got done talking about Monster Squad, that was directed by Fred Dekker, and now we're going to be talking about Night of the Creeps, directed by Fred Dekker. So, therefore, we have our own double Decker.
Oh!
Now I'm directing the angle back to
Thrill me. Yes, and also on a side note, we will be lucky to see Tom Atkins next month when we go to Monster Mania up in Allentown.
Allentown?
Not Allentown. Oaks. That's right, Oaks.
Now I'm gonna strangle you.
Oh my God. We're still going to see him next month. Less than a month from now, and this is our first time viewing this guy. Have you ever even met him before? You've never met him before, Jeff?
I wanted to.
Okay.
It's one of those things, it's like, starting to realize, like, this might have never happened, and then finally it's like, yo. So, like...
We all had some exciting stories when we found out that Tom Atkins is coming to Monster Mania Con this year for 2021. I think at first I put John in panic because it kind of seemed like a family emergency type text. I was like, holy fuck, guys. And I just get the, what's going on? And then I send the screenshot and I'm like, Tom motherfucking Atkins is going to be at Monster Mania Con. And John's like, oh shit. And then we have Jeff's story.
So listen, I come home that night. I don't even say hi to my wife. I come kicking in the door like the house on fucking fire. Did you see who's? I'm screaming, yo. The funny thing, like, this is like a 5-minute whole I wouldn't even say meltdown. It was like an explosion. And it ends with my wife going, okay, calm, didn't even give a fuck. I'm like, you know who the fuck Tom Atkins is? She's like, yeah, I'm just not my thing. I'm like, what the fuck?
me a panic attack and you break down my door just to tell me Tom Atkins is coming to town?
Yes!
Yes!
I go, dude, that is like the pinnacle of my list right now. I'm like, I've met everybody I wanted to at this point. He was my, like, almost the end of the list now. I'm like, dude, Tom Atkins? Like,
he's like the beginning of my list.
Yeah, really, he
It
is.
was Andre Gower, and now it's going to be Tom Atkins.
Well, it's just so awesome because, like we had the whole Halloween 3 episode on the podcast, and even though like John really enjoys Halloween 3 and says it's a good movie, I enjoy Halloween 3 for the marketing and the creative side project that they had in mind for it, and find it very entertaining. I'm wishy-washy about like if it's like, I don't think it's a bad movie, but I don't know like how good it is exactly. I mean, especially because of its age and its dating. But I love everything about Halloween 3 and the idea behind it, and that I just thought Tom Atkins was also just such a good leading man that he played like just very good, almost like a hero's journey in a way. I mean, he's just a middle-aged guy who's like pounding beer, smoking, and scoring hot chicks.
Couldn't wait till we announced to do this movie because I'm back on the Atkins diet, baby. I'm smoking cigarettes, I'm drinking beers, and I'm achieving immortality. I mean, that's just what Tom Atkins does.
And he's very good. He's a very good and talented actor. I know, like, Tommy Lee Wallace, who directed Halloween 3, said he doesn't have, like, the typical pretty boy features to him, but I can just totally see him playing the characters that he does, where he becomes like heroic. He's not afraid to throw fists and punches if he has to, playing a tough guy, playing somebody who blends in with a crowd. Yeah. I mean, like, he's definitely got this like overall aura to him that I just think is like awesome, and he's just such a talented guy. I love watching him. I love watching him in horror films that we get. It's just, Tom Atkins is the motherfucking man.
Hence, I'm wearing the Atkins or Die shirt today. I had to.
I'm so proud that him and Bruce Willis are like our honorary show mascots.
Yes. I know like one question I was probably gonna be asking him, but I think I already know the answer to this. Doing the research for this movie is what would be his favorite film of these VHSs on the T-shirt. Oh. And a lot of reports indicate that Night of the Creeps is actually his favorite.
Really?
Of all the films that he's worked on in the 80s.
Wow.
So that's really something. It took me off guard, but I can say, okay, because when I saw this movie, I'd seen it before. It was a while ago, and we revisited it. I revisited it 2 weeks ago. And he does get a lot of screen time. He is pretty much the heart and soul of this movie in terms of standout performances. It's really him that I gravitated towards the most in the film. I can see it. He had a great working relationship with Fred Dekker. He said he would instantly work with him again.
Nice.
And also with Shane Black. Now, a little story. In 1984, when Shane Black was writing a treatment for a film called Shadow Company, which basically would be the groundwork for Lethal Weapon, when he met Tom Atkins on the film, he envisioned him as the role of Martin Riggs. He wanted him to be alongside Danny Glover as Sergeant Murtaugh, but the studio wanted to create that buddy cop dynamic and cast somebody a bit younger, so they went with Mel Gibson. Yet, Shane Black still loved working with Tom Atkins so much that he had the role of Huntsacker for him. It's hard to imagine Riggs not being played by somebody other than Mel Gibson because he's very good in the role, but I do think Tom Atkins would have done a great job. And he has a lot of great freak-out moments in like that movie as well, where you see like his range just peaking everywhere. Like,
I don't give a shit. You're a police officer, Roger. I know you're a fucking police officer. Kill them! Just kill them!
Seriously. He almost had like a moment like that in Night of the Creeps where he like loses his mind, where all the incompetency around him as he's going to the crime scenes. What is wrong with you people? Can't you tell that a body just doesn't walk out of this lab and just go somewhere else? He's the only cop that's really got any sense, and I believe that's probably what played into more of the comedic aspect, where he's drinking, he's got a troubled past of something traumatic that happened to him in the black and white past footage in Night of the Creeps. And no one else is on top of their shit except him.
Yeah.
I was going to say, I would have loved to say this was the first time I met Tom Atkins through this movie, but no, it was actually Lethal Weapon, because my dad would love that movie. But out of all the Tom Atkins movies, this is actually one of my favorite. That's what I told him earlier. I'll call it as I'm pointing. But like, as much as I love Creepshow and The Fog, this is the one that got me, because like I love watching this movie because of the aspect. Because I'm a huge zombie fan. This is a totally different aspect of zombies, because now it's not more or less of a bite or a scratch. It's because you got fucking aliens.
Alien slug.
Yeah.
Yeah, real quick synopsis of the movie is it looks like there's some alien war going on, and this one alien sends this canister of we don't know what yet down to Earth. It crash lands and infects this one person, and about 30 years later, these 27? Okay,
yeah.
These college kids are trying to be a part of a sorority, and this was part of their hazing to get like a cadaver or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Dump it on the stairs, the rival fraternity.
Yeah.
And they find the frozen corpse from 27 years prior, and here it's still infected with these slugs that wind up turning people into zombies.
Yeah.
And the slugs have to enter in your mouth, and they basically turn you into a zombie. And it's kind of like Alien then after a while, where I guess... I don't know if you destroy them, more slugs come out of them, or eventually at some point the slugs just burst out of their head.
If you kill the host, the parasite leaves the body.
Well, I think it's an incubation, so one entering the body now multiplies because it needs the warmth.
Yes.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And it seems like fire is the one way to truly kill the alien parasite, because you're killing the entire host, not just like cutting off the head or destroying the brain like you see in typical zombie films. Because if you do that, the parasites will just leave the body.
Yes.
Because you're not killing the parasite, you're just killing the host.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the general plot of the movie. And Tom Atkins is actually this character who's somewhat tormented by this past, because at the beginning of the movie, in that 27 years prior mark, he was a cop that had broken up with a girlfriend, and he was on duty the night that she actually got murdered. And I guess the guy she was seeing, he wound up being the guy who became the host for the slugs. And she was murdered by an axe murderer because he left the car, and Tom Atkins was looking for the murderer, but it was too late to do anything about it. So he's been haunted by letting her die, even though they weren't together. They were still, like he still had feelings for her.
He plays Detective Ray Cameron. So this is for the scholars, but if you notice, a lot of the last names for a lot of the characters are paying tribute to a lot of sci-fi and horror directors, where you've got Ray Cameron, James Cameron. You've got there's Sergeant Raimi, Sam Raimi. So that's like something just like a little hint, and I love things when certain writers do that, where like for the scholars, the little like Easter egg nuggets for you to pinpoint. Oh, all these last names have this correlation. That's really fun. That's really funny.
It would have been funny if they would have had like Sam Cameron and like James Raimi or something too, where they just like flip flop. Yeah.
But I mean, that would have been a little too on the nose then.
There's Corman University, Roger Corman.
Yeah.
I picked up on that one.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. All right.
That's clever. It really is.
But that goes back to my original point. I don't know if I said it earlier in the episode or when we were talking outside. If Monster Squad was the love letter to Universal monsters in the 40s and 50s, this was a love letter to the sci-fi horror zombie lore. I guess would be the best way to explain it, because like it has like the tropes for like 50s horror, sci-fi.
Yeah. Also
the 50s horror, and as you're moving forward, like when they still dated it like for the 80s, like so you had the random nudity for no reason at all, which I'm not going to complain about in this one.
I couldn't either.
Because like it was funny, because like you're sitting there going, all right, cool, they're getting ready to go, and there's a lot of tits all of a sudden.
Like, is that the main girl's No, it's just some random one, but okay.
Very 80s.
Yeah, with it being a love letter to all that, it's like they had to definitely throw that in there, because like that's the main trope for horror.
Yeah.
And really, that's like the only rated R part. I mean, I think Tom Atkins might swear a little bit here and there, but there really wasn't like too much overabundance of it. Yeah, and the violence wasn't that.
I think it's rated R just because the amount of smoking that man did.
Probably.
He was like
smoking literally at the very end. If you know what
Yeah.
Now, even say that this also is a tribute to like the Atomic Age stuff and the insect movies of the 50s, because these are parasites, these are bugs, leeches, if you want to call it. But not just Atomic Age, but you got also some hints of another previous director's work being featured in the movie. You've got Plan 9 from Outer Space being shown in this film by Edward Wood.
Edward D. Wood Jr.
Edward D. Wood Jr. I did like that it started out, well, I shouldn't say it started out black and white, that the 50s was portrayed in the black and white scene, and he actually, Fred Dekker, wanted to have the entire film be black and white originally. But I'm kind of glad they went to colorized in the 80s, because I just feel like that looked better, that appeals better, I would say.
Well, I agree with that, because one, it shows a time jump.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing. And then for it to be in that era, I suck at math. It was what, 50s?
50s, yes.
59 when that movie started.
Okay, yeah. So that would be more of a black and white feature then at that time frame. And then when you get to the 80s, everything in the 80s was colorful as shit.
Poppin'.
Yeah.
Everything was bright and illuminated.
So it makes sense. Plus with some of the camera angles that they used in that movie, I think it worked to its advantage to have it in color anyway. Mm-hmm. It just wouldn't have the same feel. Like black and white is a beautiful color scheme, but I feel like it has to be shot in a certain way. Otherwise, it doesn't have the same effect. Mm-hmm. Like horror, it just fits so well with horror. But there were some shots, like when Tom Atkins has the famous line with the, ladies, I got good news and bad news. Good news is your dates are here. What's the bad news? They're dead. And I just feel like if that was in black and white, I feel like that would just like desaturate everything, and with the zooms and stuff, it just wouldn't have the same kind of effect.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Now, there's one thing about the movie that is probably my least, I might be jumping the gun, my least favorite thing, but something that's a little confusing, and that's the opening with the aliens. Now, the alien language that's being depicted, it's confusing because if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about. The aliens are speaking their language, but then there's two different types of subtitles. There's their alien language and then the English translation. You don't necessarily need the alien translation, because we know as an audience that they're speaking a different language that's not English. So that, I was like, where should I be looking? Should I be looking at their language, or should I be looking at our language? Just get rid of the alien language subtitle, because that didn't make any sense to me.
I didn't think it made any sense either.
I could see, like, if they did the alien and then over top of it, like directly over top of it would have been the English. Like, okay, I can understand, but it wasn't. You had the alien language at the bottom and the English translation at the top. Like, wait, just put them together.
Or get rid of one and just simplify it. I just feel like you're making it too complex. I mean, I know you're probably going for the jokey aspect because this is very much so a horror comedy.
Yeah.
It's just confusing. Where should my sightline be looking at? Or should I be looking at these really like nude looking aliens, these pink aliens that are kind of having like a shoot off in the spaceship?
Well, it wasn't until watching it for this episode that I realized that the one that throws the canister out is actually infected. Because I'm like, as I'm watching it, they're trying to kill him. I'm like, all right, so I originally thought it was a rival alien. No, if you look at his eyes, it's all clouded over, so he was infected the whole time. Oh. They were trying to kill him to kill the virus.
Gotcha.
Okay.
And I'm like, because when they, the camera angle they use to hit the other two, you can actually see they have pupils. So when you're looking at the main one, he doesn't have pupils.
All right.
Like,
that makes more sense to me now. Okay. Yeah.
So it's like, watching it, it's like one thing. Now that I'm like, looking into everything, I was like, oh shit, that even makes even more sense on top of why they were just trying to shoot him.
Yeah.
Definitely. But, they had their opening. Their opening may be cool and impactful to the story, but Tom Atkins' opening is even better. I mean, you got a guy wearing a white suit, sitting on a beach, with shades on, having a beverage out of a coconut.
It was so Tom Atkins, too.
Very Tom Atkins. I'm like, ooh! This guy gets a great opening, and then you realize, oh shit, this is a traumatic flashback.
Is it though? Nothing really bad happens in the dream. He just wakes up in a panic. Like, oh shit.
He does have some moments where he's watching the axe murderer take out his former girlfriend. It's pretty horrific. He's just like standing on top of the car. It's a great shot with the axe being brought down onto her over and over again. The guy's not stopping. What the hell is going on here?
From what like if you listen to the radio when they're talking, they say he's a mental patient, and they're like 3 miles from it.
Yeah.
Sounds like the Hook urban legend come to life.
And what the boyfriend was kind of like, "Ooh, aren't you scared?"
Yeah.
Like he wasn't like.
He even made a joke about it.
Yeah.
Come on, babe, it's make out point.
And then he didn't care about like, oh, hey, what was that noise or whatever, and he's the one who goes off looking for the canister, and then boom, he gets infected.
Yeah.
Like, what a dumbass.
Becomes patient zero.
Yeah.
And even introduction to the two kids, I cannot remember the name. All I remember is the one kid's Rusty from
yes.
National Lampoon's.
That's the only film that I really remember him from is European Vacation.
Yeah, and I was like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, ah.
Yeah. I had to think about it. Like, you look familiar. Oh, okay, you're Rusty. I can see it now. And you did Dukes of Hazzard. Okay. That's all that I can think of from you, man. But they have some good chemistry. Him and Steve Marshall, who plays JC, who's the best friend who's in crutches.
Yep.
In crutches. Yeah, they have a good chemistry. There's some good banter between the two of them, especially when they're at that party. Like, Chris is the one guy who's like, oh, I'm really nervous. This girl's really cute, but I don't know if she has a boyfriend or not. And JC's like the smooth talker, and he's like the comedic relief, and he's the guy that can smooth things over, maybe.
Yeah. Well, he's actually like really like brave and gung ho, and you know, he's like, I got your back, bro. Like, they had a really good like brother chemistry and best friend bond that I thought worked really well for the movie. And then he also had that line about fear, I think. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's been a while since I've seen the movie, but they had that talk in the dorm about like overcoming fears and stuff, and like putting blame on another person instead of having like accountability. And it was a really good line, and I don't remember it word for word, so I'm not going to even quote it, but I thought that is an important message in the movie right there.
Mm-hmm, definitely. And just like Monster Squad, this is also a very tight 90-minute movie. It doesn't go to the 2-hour mark. It doesn't go to the hour and 45-minute mark. It's pretty well paced in terms of it. Like I said before in the one review of Monster Squad, this is a good first movie for a director trying to make his stamp going forward. Okay, what can you improve upon this? What can you do better? But there's, it's just a nice underrated gem that we talked about. I mean, I completely forgot about this movie until In Search of Darkness came up when they were doing the 80s montage, and then you have that great line from Tom Atkins at the very end, like, oh, I should really revisit this movie again. I really need to.
Yeah, and then honestly, the main reason we started talking about doing this episode was because Colin rewatched this and started talking about it after we did Monster Squad.
And I got into it because we said something about Fred Dekker directed Night of the Creeps, mm-hmm. and because I pretty much had seen like every horror film that Tom Atkins was in except for Night of the Creeps, I was like, I gotta see this. Yeah. So I thought, hey, no time like the present, and I was like, yeah, I enjoyed it. Overall, I really did think it was fun. I had some issues with it. It definitely didn't seem like a movie that I would thrust to the theaters to see, so I can understand why it wasn't a financial success. Mm-hmm. I mean, but it's definitely a good popcorn flick at home, and I mean, it's even good, again, like how I said for Monster Squad, that it's good for people who don't want to be, like they don't like being scared, but they love the Halloween season. Mm-hmm. Like, this is a good movie for them to watch.
Absolutely.
You know, it doesn't really, like, fill you with fear, but it just puts that, like, horror element there, and it's just a fun ride.
Yeah.
And honestly, I feel like that's what Fred Dekker was trying to do with both those movies.
Exactly.
Like, he wanted them both to be for everybody, but yet, obviously, for certain reasons, each movie had their own faults. It might have been the wrong time. It might have been just what everybody wasn't looking for. I feel like, once again, it's another one that took almost 30-some years later to get the love that it really needs.
Yes.
And it sucks because he did a really good job on both movies. I am not going to watch RoboCop 3, by the way. I just popped in my head.
That's okay.
That movie.
That's fine. That's fine, Jeff.
But these two, I will back up 100%.
There's even a cool poster that you showed us.
Yeah.
Just blending the two movies together, where you have the good on one side and then you have the bad on the other side.
I think Tom Atkins is in the middle.
Yeah, he might be in the middle. Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it was in New York. They did I almost called it the Fred Dekker Double Decker. It was called the Monster Squad meets Night of the Creeps, and it was they showed both movies back to back. I'm like, I would have loved to have seen that. I thought it would have been like a cool thing. I think Fred Dekker was there. So it was like one of those things, like, it would have been like one of the coolest things to do. So
absolutely.
Because I kept seeing it in Wolfman's Got Nards. I'm like, yo, there's no way that was a real thing. Yeah, it was real. It was a poster that they did because, guy did 2 movies back to back that were really good.
Yeah.
Cool, let's put them together. No, it was a real thing.
That's tough to do. This movie came out, I think, August 22nd, so almost around the same release as Monster Squad. They were both summer films in August, 1 year apart from one another. So, and we already talked about this before, but there's the bathroom scene with JC as the alien slugs are trying to get to him, and you see the graffiti on the wall, "Go Monster Squad." The fact that they were filming this movie during principal photography in '85, they already got greenlit for a movie that was going to come out in '87. Yeah. So things are moving very fast for everybody, and that's incredible.
And originally, Fred Dekker didn't know who was going to direct this movie. He just attached himself to it to see if anybody would pick up just the script. Yeah. Lo and behold, it just became his project.
Yeah. TriStar, they decided to do this movie and then do Monster Squad, so just that's great that he had a good working relationship with the high studio at that young of an age. And a lot of the, not just Fred Dekker who wrote this, Shane Black also had a say in terms of the comedic elements in this movie as well. It says the credit mostly goes to Fred Dekker, but Shane Black definitely did help with this script because they were best friends. They go hand in hand. They work together on numerous projects, so I can see that.
And Shane Black's a talented guy that is clearly like heavily involved with writing in Hollywood, so it doesn't surprise me one bit that he probably had a major contribution to the movie, even though I could see like Fred Dekker starting it, just like how he said he started Monster Squad, and Shane Black was like, yeah, let's just roll with it.
But if you look at like all of Shane Black's movies, so like even the original Predator, he even in very intense moments, there was like subtle or very blatant comedy kind of just injected. So he actually injected himself into a movie to be the comedic relief to get killed off.
Yeah.
And I was laughing about that because I didn't realize he was the writer until years later.
Okay. Yeah, I never knew either. I actually liked his character in Predator, and I felt for him because he was kind of like the smaller guy in the group, and it was kind of like he was also the like rookie in a way.
I can see that.
Yeah, and he kind of had that look too, where it was like, yeah, he's smaller than the beefier guys. He's got the glasses, and
listen, the relationship him and Jesse Ventura had was probably the funniest thing about the movie. Because he's like trying to like be like as tough as Jesse Ventura, and it's like you just look at him like, really?
Yeah.
Trying to get Billy to laugh, and then eventually gets him to laugh after the big action scene.
But it's like we all know that that's where that's going to be coming from. So at least we know we have a little bit of humor coming through.
Yeah.
Where you can definitely see the Monster Squad, you can see a little bit here, and I would say definitely Lethal Weapon, you can see a little bit more of it injected because he just knew how to inject it at the right moments.
Yeah.
And that's the key for comedy. It's all about timing.
Yeah.
Otherwise you get 2016's Ghostbusters.
Let's not go any further, please.
I'm going to leave it there. I'll be nice.
But it definitely, the film tends to pick up quite a bit, especially when they're given the fraternity pledge prank that they have to do to get in. That's to steal the cadaver from, they didn't know it, but it was patient zero.
Who thought, hold on, who thought, hey, I should turn this off and steal body out of cryogenics, for fuck's sake, right? I saw JC start flipping it on. I'm like, wait, so you literally had to turn everything off to get this guy out? I'm like, A, why the fuck? B, you're dumber than anybody in the entire room, and you've got a dead body there.
They just started breathing. Yeah. Obviously, something is wrong here, and you just decide. I mean, it wouldn't be a movie without this '80s plot.
Hey, why not?
Oh yeah.
And by the way, wasn't it like under the basement of a building in the college campus?
Well, I think it's because they have a morgue there. Because I'm wondering if it was a medical school.
All right, but.
I think I'm reaching.
I mean. No, this would be like Area 51 type shit, not a college campus 27 years later. You know? Yeah.
Listen, don't point out the plot holes in the fucking 80s horror movie.
I'm just saying.
That's like asking how Jason, changed physique between the
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
They don't want you to question it. They just want you to enjoy the ride.
Hey, I enjoyed it. But at the same time, I'm thinking, what the fuck? What did the FBI come in and be like, we're taking this body?
Well, I think it's because they didn't know what it was, and you didn't see anything from the outside. All they were dealing with was the ex-killer at the time. They just took the body and froze it, and that was it. Mm-hmm. Why the fuck did they just...
Yeah, exactly. Why did they fucking freeze it yet?
Like, now you got me thinking about it. Now I'm going to pull this whole movie apart.
Did they find somebody? Was there someone working for Area 51 in disguise and thinking, we got to preserve this thing?
Wait.
I don't know.
You got me going. So, those assholes fucking put the keypad on the wall, and JC just happens to hit the right fucking number? Oh, hell. What the fuck, man? Like, you know that you're not supposed to touch that. Now, you're fucking opening the door that's, like, clearly not, no fucking go in there, and then you release a dead zombie? Get the fuck out of here.
God, no wonder Tom Atkins is so stressed out in this scene.
Fuck, I feel like smoking and drinking right now just thinking about this plot.
I don't think he said thrill me enough. He said it 5 times. I expected him to say it like 10 or 15 times.
Was there any research as to the origin of that line and why he uses it? Like every time he answers the phone, he goes, thrill me. Anytime he questions something, it was always thrill me.
Pretty much from what I saw was Fred Dekker had that in mind. He just needed something like almost like a catchphrase, but it was his, but he wanted it out of time. So it would be back to the 50s and 60s. So when he was talking about building the character, he said that like all he needed was he couldn't figure out what job the person did, but he wanted that to be their catchphrase because he wanted it out of time. And I'm like, it makes sense. So, like, the same understanding with Ash and Groovy. It was out of time, but it became a staple in horror movie history.
I didn't get it at first. I just thought it was cool because it was Tom Atkins, and it was, and he delivered it well.
Oh, yeah.
Pick up the phone. Thrill me.
Yeah. Like, he's having that conversation with the other, like, the main kid, Rusty from National
Let's call him Rusty.
His real name.
His real name is Chris in the movie, but let's just call him Rusty because...
We can remember JC, but we can't remember...
His
like basic bitch name, and we can't remember it.
That's only 2 letters, JC. Chris. But when he's talking to Chris, and he's telling him all about the origins of him and his ex-girlfriend and how it's affecting him, and then the phone rings, and he just like, throw me. Like he gets all like super psycho on him. He's like, I keep a 12 gauge under my bed. And then the phone rings.
That one got me. I'm sorry. Like, just where the shotgun was placed, like you just threw it on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Gun case, like, fuck it. It's under the bed now.
It's the 80s.
Does he have any more weapons in his closet? Does he just like have an arsenal and you see like an AR-15 assault rifle and maybe a Desert Eagle or 2?
He's got a 6-shooter that holds like 12 rounds.
Oh my god.
He gets an extra 6 rounds because he's Tom Atkins.
Yeah, why not?
Now I'm going back to the whole fucking zombie and cryogenics. Did you guys take notice, though, that when the coroner comes to pick up the body after the zombie escapes and rips the guy's throat out, his briefcase just has a sandwich in it? He opens it, grabs the sandwich out, and then closes it.
Yeah.
There's nothing in it but a fucking sandwich. I'm like, I guess that's the whole concept of them being bumbling idiots. I think every time they showed the coroner, he was eating a sandwich. Like, even when they're pulling the body out of the dead mother's house, he had a sandwich in his mouth. So it's like, oh my god. Yeah, so he was in the coroner's office. The body behind him gets up. He was eating a sandwich. I'm like, dude, is that all you're gonna do this movie? Like, oh yeah, I'm gonna check this dead body. Like, again,
open briefcases and eat sandwiches. Does he have more than one sandwich in that briefcase? Just the one.
Not even a full sandwich. A half of a sandwich. It's a normal sized case, and one little like 6-inch sub was in it.
And it never comes back in the rest of the movie. Kind of reminds me of Akamura from Samurai Cop. He's running with this briefcase. You got to think there's probably incriminating documents or money. He just opens it up and there's a gun inside. That's it.
With one bullet.
With one bullet. 2 bullets. Oh, he was inspired by Night of the Creeps, except of a 6-shooter, it's a sandwich. That's a sandwich.
That's a horrible inspiration.
I know. It's got to be. It's definitely horrible. It's probably not related at all. It can't be.
I don't know. I've heard stranger things. No, Samurai Cop came out in 89 or 90, whatever. I don't know. Doesn't
No,
matter.
Who cares? But yeah, you got this nude zombie on the loose right now, and he finds his way to the fraternity. I think he spooks the one sorority sister through the window. That's how like we see him like fully awake.
Yeah. And then, like, slug comes out.
Yeah. Oh, those slugs. I hate bugs. I hate insects. So that kind of like got to me a little bit.
But honestly, like, one of the funniest scenes happens after the body is discovered. Well, both bodies are discovered, and Tom Atkins loses his shit. He has to find Chris and JC because the janitor saw them running out of the room, screaming like banshees.
The Asian guy is like, oh, they scream like banshees.
He says it so many times.
You know, the fact that, like, dude, I laugh at that every time because I'm like, I keep forgetting about that line because the way that janitor delivers it, and then all of a sudden, like, after saying it a couple of times, he smiles. I'm like, yo, he knows.
He knows. And then he gets it eventually.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
And he's the one that infects JC then.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, JC gets infected in the bathroom. And that's actually, JC was the one who discovered that it's the fire because he uses a pack of matches, I think. Mm-hmm. Realizes that he could burn one, but there was way too many coming, and he winds up getting infected, and then he goes off screen, and he actually leaves Chris a recorded message, and he's the one who tells him that, you know, I'm gone, I'm infected, and
I'm dead.
And fire's the only thing that can really kill him.
He also says, I can walk. That's how I know something's seriously wrong with me.
Yeah, so he was also saying that he can feel it inside his head. Like, it's starting to get on that way, and that's when he starts talking about it. He can walk again.
And you know what? I thought he was going to come back at one point. Because basically what happens is the fraternity guys are all assholes, and they treat the women in the sororities like shit. They're just viewed as sex objects. It's like typical douchebag 80s, you know, guys that are in college. I mean, even the head sorority master, he's got like stupid blonde highlighted hair, like a California surfer or something.
Master race or some shit.
Yeah, he looked like a jackass tool. And I guess, like, was the girl that Chris is trying to get with dating that guy?
Yes,
or just okay. And then she bounces him and then actually starts seeing Chris. And they're getting ready
because of the prank.
Yep. And they're getting ready for the prom thing.
Yeah.
And so the guys wind up getting into a bus, and on their way over, they wind up getting infected.
He also shoves JC. Like, JC made some, like, smart-ass comment to the guy, and he shoves him off of his crutches, and he falls down.
Yeah, and it's like, how low do you have to go to, you know, push a guy on crutches?
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
the guy is crippled
on.
permanently, which is really fucked up.
Yeah. It's like, oh, you're tough.
Seriously.
So after, what is it? So then we actually, between the start of the infection, him talking to, he calls him a Spanky and Alfalfa. And as that progresses, like, I love the fact that, like, he finally tells Chris, like, after figuring out what the fuck's actually happening, he tells Chris what happened. And then he ends up talking about killing the axe murderer. Which later comes to, like, bite him in the ass, which I thought was kind of a cool twist, because essentially the sorority house that has Chris's girlfriend housed in it is actually becoming the breeding ground for these creatures.
Yeah.
Because the one girl, I guess is a biology major, had brains in jars.
Yeah.
And I guess that's what the slugs were looking for so they could eat. So they found that and started making it their
nest, if you
nest,
will.
Yeah. So, like, they're just using that. And apparently the dead mother's house is like several yards behind the house. And that's where the body was buried that he killed the axe murderer. He's like, yeah, I leveled off my shotgun and shot him right in the chest. Which was a cool sequence because, like, as soon as you see the things go through the garage, like, all right, so they're starting to spread out. Well, they find a body and they use it.
Yeah, they're, because it didn't pick up at first, you always see that shot of the slugs running through the grass to a certain location. Oh, they're going to the nest. They're all basically driving their attention to the hive to basically feast and grow more powerful, stronger. I love how, and she's watching Plan 9 from Outer Space during that scene. I love how that movie came back twice. Really funny stuff. And then
that's actually where I think we get our like real zombie looking thing.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when Tom Atkins is revisited with the woman, I killed you. And then she's looking all kinds of infected and fucked up.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then so like that a creature gets alive, breaks through the floorboards and kills the dead mother. And he ends up infecting the dog, which later comes into play.
Poor dog. And a cat,
Yeah,
too.
really.
I forgot about the cat. But then the cops start looking for an axe murderer. Well, Tom Atkins is freaking out because like that's where we get throw me, and that's where we discover the shotguns under the bed. So like this is literally right after he's done telling this story. All of a sudden he gets a phone call about the axe murderer. I'm like, well played, gentlemen, well played. And then like so they're searching for an axe murderer, and then the cops are talking in the car. And all of a sudden they look over. One cop the driver's looking over. You see a dead body coming towards you with an axe. He's like, oh fuck! It drives right the fuck off. But I love the fact that like he goes into a dead end, the zombie, and that's when Tom Atkins is like, no fucking way. Did you guys take notice that the zombie actually smiles at him before he shoots him in the head?
Yes, I did notice that.
So the zombie actually remembered Tom Atkins' face. I'm like, I didn't think about that until recently rewatching it, because now I'm like looking through a different view.
They have a concept of memory.
Yeah, so it's like even with the slugs being there, they still have a bit of a memory. So it showed even with JC being able to record himself before getting killed.
That's what kind of threw me off. So these things, when you get infected by the slugs, they have the ability to communicate. They have the ability of speech. Yet he's the only one of the infected people that actually talks.
Yeah.
So I thought, is it because, like you said, he got it in the early stages, he knew that he was screwed, so he decided to scramble quickly and come up with some sort of recording to help Chris out? The other ones were too late.
Well, I think another reason is because he was already aware of something that was going on. Everybody else who got infected had no idea what was happening. Like Chris knew about, JC knew about killing the slugs and knew about the cadaver or the corpse, I should say, obviously. Cadaver, yeah, one big cadaver. But everybody else didn't. And for the sake of story, just move the story along, obviously. But that I was just going to say, because I got off topic from explaining like the plot towards the end there, I was surprised that JC doesn't come back. After the recording, that's it.
You think because he's able to talk that maybe he's able to beat this and maybe there's a way to rescue him.
Either that or at the very end when there's the epic like finale, if you will.
Reveal.
Yeah, the big reveal of like all the not sorority, that's the women's fraternity assholes that were all infected.
Yeah.
And Tom Atkins gets the flamethrowers and other like weapons from the arsenal in the police station.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that maybe at some point Chris is gonna see JC and just say like, "Let's gotta light him up," even though it's my best friend. But no, he doesn't show up at all.
He does.
He does?
Yeah. He goes when he says he's in the boiler room. He actually goes to the boiler room, and you find JC's body, and all the slugs are melted.
You do.
Oh, okay.
Because he knew how to kill him, so he figured just straight heat would kill it. And shortly after, that's why he goes running down the hallway in a panic, and he's like, he wants to go save JC, but obviously he can't.
He can't.
Oh, I must have missed that somehow.
I forgot about Tom Atkins in the police station during the weapons locker scene.
That was hilarious.
I forgot about that.
You have a flamethrower?
Well, that's actually shortly after the whole zombie smiling, he blows his fucking head off. And he's like, so he grabs Chris. Chris explains everything about JC. And then they're like, well, we got to go fight these things.
Yeah.
And then that's when we get the whole 80s fucking montage of everybody getting ready, titties everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
I was laughing about that. I'm like, yo.
It's a big day.
Yeah. So it's like apparently what? The formal? I guess would be the best way to
I guess that's the best way to
formal.
say it.
Yeah.
Yeah, guys and girls getting ready, getting dressed.
So Chris is going with, what's her face now? What is her name? I'm horrible with names, I apologize.
Cynthia.
Cynthia.
Played by Jill Whitlow. She looked familiar. I'm not sure. I have to try and look up to see what else she was in, but she did look familiar to me. Other than Tom Atkins being the big draw because he's...
Tom Atkins.
Yeah, he's Tom Atkins.
Tom motherfucking Atkins. That's who.
That's right.
She was in Weird Science, and she was also in Porky's. Another very 80s movie.
Both of those movies are.
Yeah.
But like, it was cool like seeing her progression as a character, going from almost the shallow to understanding that there's more to people than just looks and money. That's why I thought it was kind of a cool story arc for her. Even showing her becoming a badass during the whole. All right, I'm getting ahead of myself. So after the montage, you get everyone fraternity brothers getting on a bus. They're getting shit-faced.
Oh, yeah.
And that's when we get the comeback for the dog.
Yep.
The dog comes back.
And all of a sudden, why the fuck? Hold the fuck. I just thought this. So how the guy swerves to miss the dog.
Yes.
The dog clearly is already dead. I would have fucking ran it over.
Maybe the driver couldn't tell that the dog was dead. Maybe he couldn't
Half his goddamn face is missing.
It's a small dog. It's dark outside. I know you got the headlights on the bus and everything, but I don't know. He's probably just in a fit of panic. He just decided to not kill the dog, whether it was alive or dead.
Maybe he thought it was a different breed.
And then hold on, how the fuck does the bus flip? I mean, like I don't remember. It hits something. How does it like topple the fuck over? Anyway, back to
80s physics. That's the only thing I can explain, but. Everybody in that bus is now royally fucked.
So bus crashes, dog infects everybody because you see the dog go into the broken windshield.
Yep.
So that's when we get Tom Atkins and Chris, and let's call him fucking Rusty. The fraternity house
Rusty.
going, hey, let's clean this shit up. And then we also get that cool montage, that cool like police station scene where he's like, try to be like very nice about giving me the fucking flamethrower.
Yeah.
Does he pull a gun on him?
Yeah, the shotgun. He starts loading it in front of him like, yeah, this is my paperwork right here.
Tom fucking Atkins right now. He has the best moments. He has the best lines. Oh god, it's amazing.
He's the best character.
He's the best character. Yeah. Every time he's on screen, I just want to see more of him.
That's how I felt. I was like, dude, give me more Tom Atkins. I actually found the kids really boring in the movie.
But you gotta have story. You can't be Tom Atkins all the time, every time.
No, you're right. And that was like, I mean, I'm sure that wasn't the intention, but Tom Atkins just stole the show.
Oh, yeah, dude.
I mean, there are films out there that showcase specifically one actor or actress. I've seen a couple of them where it's really just about them. All the other characters are secondary, and they get like a little bit of facts about them, but it's really just the one person that's probably 90-95% screen time they get. There are films out there like that. I kind of wish that maybe he was one of those characters in this film. 95% of screen time just dedicated to Tom Atkins.
Hell, I don't even watch a movie now if they revisit the Night of the Creeps and he comes back. I don't even care. I already know the ending. I still don't give a fuck.
Yeah. I don't give a fuck either. Let's do it. Bring him back.
You get the siege. I just call it the zombie siege.
Yeah, so that's where you see them all coming up to the sorority house, the zombified. And that's where we get that famous line, Colin.
Well, I got good news and bad news, ladies. Good news is your boyfriends are here, or your dates are here. What's the bad news? They're dead.
He's got like a cigar or a cigarette.
It's a cigarette.
This whole fucking movie, he is smoking. Like every time he's not smoking, he's smoking.
Seriously, the Atkins diet. Guys, it's the Atkins diet. It's amazing. I like how the one girl in the background was like trying to blow a bubble and it pops as soon as the other actress delivers her line.
And it, like, honestly, even the siege part was pretty cool. So it's like you got them trying to bar the doors, and then you've got Chris and what's her face talking about guns.
Cynthia.
Cynthia hands her the flamethrower. He's holding the shotgun, and Tom Atkins with the 6-shooter.
Yeah.
38.
Yeah, and the 360.
Yeah.
Like,
the 360 pan shot, which is really clever.
Yeah.
I was actually one of the things I watched was Fred Dekker wanted to put Tom Atkins on a dolly and just spin it. That's where we got that shot.
Okay.
He showcased that whole fucking siege around as a hit. Pull that out of my fucking ear. He did that whole. He designed a whole shot just to do Tom Atkins on a fucking dolly because he wanted that in that movie somewhere. I'm like, I'm fine with that.
Hell, that's like a trademark of that movie now. I mean, fuck, it's on your shirt, Jeff.
It is.
Honestly, when they reissued the Night of the Creep shirt, it's literally just the poster art with nothing on it, just the picture. I was like, dude, I gotta get a hold of this. I was trying to get a hold of the Monster Squad one, but it sold out quick.
Not surprising.
Because Fright Rags has a lot of them. They're also the ones that also were part of the Fred Dekker, Devil Dekker, as we're going to call him. So I was like, I had to get a hold of it. But yeah, that whole scene was just based on that. I'm like, I'm glad it was there, because like, it was funny, because, dude, like, you weren't expecting that. All of a sudden, like, they pan back out, all the bodies are everywhere, blood's everywhere. I'm like, well, fuck.
Is he actually going to get out of this? Because he's only got 6 rounds or 12 rounds, depending on.
Hold on, he probably reloaded mid-shot. Boom, 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 yeah, there we go.
Just like Jesse James, that shit.
Yeah, because he's that good.
He's Tom motherfucking Atkins.
That's right.
Because these things do take more than one shot to kill, but he took them all out after that panning shot was done. Chris and Cynthia, I think they escaped to what was it, like a outside garden area? They're kind of like held up like near the staircase, and you see like the slugs trying to get in. They're able to get around. I think that's when isn't JC come back?
No,
he doesn't come. He doesn't come back in that. Okay,
no, he's done. It was the dude with the unibrow that.
That's right.
She was talking to at the beginning of the movie that JC distracts so that Chris can talk to her.
Yes, that's right.
Hey, I'm beginning to think that phone call wasn't real.
I thought that was a nice comeback for him too. Like I was not expecting the unibrow to come back. Lo and behold, he gets a lawnmower to the face.
Yeah,
sick.
That's when Discover they talk about the flamethrower being messed up, and the pilot light goes out. It's not going to restart, and then that's where we find out that it's true, they messed it up. So she's trying to fight with that. He's shooting with a shotgun, so they get hid in a I guess it would be a shed.
A shed.
Yeah.
It's like a 2x4 shed, like big enough to fit a lawnmower and 2 people in.
Pretty much. Right, exactly.
It was an 80 shed.
But yeah, it was kind of cool. Like, you get the siege. Tom Atkins is killing everybody. He's trying to save the day. You got Cynthia and Chris. Well, I said her name right. They're trying to be badasses. She's more of a badass than Chris.
And that's when they make the discovery, okay, we're not done yet because these things are still out there. What's in the basement?
And that's where she talks about the brains.
Oh, God. You just see a mound or like a breeding, mating nest of slugs in a corner in the basement.
And then you actually get to see Tom Atkins. You hear gas going.
Mm-hmm.
And he's sitting there with duct tape over his mouth, pouring gas on these fucking...
Yeah. The reason why he has the duct tape on his mouth is because the slugs like to eject themselves from a body into your mouth. That's where they want to go. That's the entryway point.
Yeah.
So that's why he tapes up his mouth.
I was like, it was kind of a big reveal too, because like all of a sudden they're like, oh shit, and there's Tom Atkins like duct tape, gas, and fucking you just hear gas, natural gas going, propane, whatever the fuck you want to call it. And he's just like screaming at him through duct tape.
Yeah.
Don't come on
There's
here.
a bunch that are launching directly towards his head, and he just lights the match or the flamethrower. Bam, boom,
That's
blows them all up.
Yeah, just the countdown, and then like they have to dump off the flamethrower because obviously it doesn't work.
Yeah. Nothing works. Nothing works in the 80s when you want it to.
But like even that whole scene, like him doing that, and we actually missed a big plot point. He was going to kill himself before this whole siege happened, before the whole montage and everything. Because like he was sitting in the house, still dealing with the fact that he had to kill a zombie axe killer.
Yeah.
He had all the windows and doors taped up, and then Chris comes banging on the door like, "Hey, we gotta save everybody." We totally missed that. We skimmed over that.
That's true.
So he was willing to die. That's what leads us to this point, because like as they're showing him get ready for the whole siege, he's like still has the gas going. He's like untaping everything, turns the gas off, closes the oven, gets dressed. And, like,
oh wow, okay, yeah, I did miss that. Just as the later of his character, where he knows he's at the end of his ropes. He knows that at some point death is going to come for him, maybe sooner than later. And
I think also the fact that they're going to figure out that was the body that was supposed to be the axe killer that killed his girlfriend. So putting 2 and 2 together, it was kind of like you said, building the layers of story. Mm-hmm. Even though it was skimmed over in the movie, it's kind of all right. So they're going to figure that out. They're going to figure out I did it, so I'm going to die anyway.
Yeah.
So go out as a hero rather than going out as a scumbag.
Yeah.
Still could technically be a hero. He shot that fucking creep.
He did.
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
And he had it coming.
Yeah, so the sorority is now on fire, basically. Everyone's kind of like watching from the distance, and Chris and Cynthia are together. Yay, lovey-dovey moment, happy ending. But I did not expect the smoking corpse of Tom Atkins to be walking down the street with a cigarette in his mouth.
A lit cigarette, too. That's what I know. So this zombie motherfucking Tom Atkins like, I need a cigarette still.
Yeah.
He drops that bitch in and lights it. Wait, did he light it on the sorority house while it's on fire? Because I feel like he would have been like, probably did.
As he was walking through the flames, it just got lit naturally. He's making his way towards the cemetery. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, because I'm assuming the alien parasites are probably drawing him to a breeding ground of new hosts. And what better than a graveyard?
Which I didn't fully understand because aren't all the organs decayed anyway?
They just need a brain. They need something to multiply. So even if it is decaying, it's still just enough. That's why Zombie Axe Killer was able to reanimate. They just needed a host.
Okay. I just figured it was 80s, put this in here.
I think it was also because they were leading up to a sequel, because there's actually 2 endings.
Oh.
So the ending we saw, I think, is the extended ending.
Okay.
The original ending was the dog came back again.
Oh, damn.
The dog came back.
So everyone's watching the fire happen, and then Cynthia sees the dog, because obviously it's the den mother's, and she's calling over, and all of a sudden you realize it's missing half its fucking face, and it starts spitting the
slugs,
parasites,
yeah, the parasites at them, and then that's how the movie ends. So either ending gives you room for a sequel.
Okay.
Which, honestly, I prefer the Tom Atkins ending.
Yeah, I prefer the Tom Atkins ending. Just hearing that, I prefer the Tom Atkins ending. And then you actually see, in the distance, when he collapses at the gravesite, you see the alien spaceship shining a light, I guess trying to search for those parasites, and they just kind of fly away.
You're like, oh, well, we didn't find them. Well,
They're not here. They're not on Earth. They must be somewhere else.
Yeah.
27 years, and we still haven't found these.
Yeah. 27 years searching the universe, and we still haven't found these goddamn alien parasites. One of the few planets that we can find that has life on it, because you're not going to really find host life on Mars or Neptune or...
Well, that we know of, I should say. 'Cause all I need is a brain. It could be whatever it is, because everything has some sort of thinking apparatus.
I mean, I know there are microscopic organisms that are on Mars and Neptune, but they're not living human beings that can have the ability to speak of speech. And
that we know of.
We know of, yes.
So, like, honestly, with this being my favorite Tom Atkins movie, I got a hold of the 30th anniversary.
Ooh.
I missed out on a limited edition. They did a certain run with Tom Atkins, like, action figures.
Oh.
And I'm like, I got pissed because like they were still advertising, even though it was sold out. I'm like, I still hate you so much because it was like one of those figures with the cloth clothing and the shotgun. I'm like, why you guys gotta tease me like this? But I was like, all right. So I missed out on that. I'm like, I'm not gonna keep searching for it because I figure it's gonna shoot up in price. But
yeah.
But like this movie as a whole, as I was screaming about it earlier, like realizing like the amount of plot holes that are actually in it. But I still enjoyed just Tom Atkins' performance. Like as much as you said, it kind of like showcases his range a little more. It shows that like he can play troubled, he can play the badass, and like you can see the physical and mental exhaustion he was getting from the incompetence of all the other cops. The corner eating sandwiches.
Half a sandwich.
I think it was the same fucking piece of sandwich throughout the whole entire movie at this point. 3 different bodies he has as a fucking sandwich. But it still is a fun movie to watch. Like you said, it wasn't too scary. Even the gore was like off screen. So like, if the head split open, it was either you heard it hit the ground or you watched a little bit of a pop, but there was no blood, there was no like brain matter. It was just slugs come out.
Probably has to do with the budget that they were working with as well, because the corner of the basement with the slugs, it looked a little very
hokey.
Obviously CGI mound of slugs. I mean, it kind of stood out to me.
Yeah,
but
it did.
They had the budget that they had to work with, so they probably wanted to maybe originally incorporate more gore, but they decided to go with more practical effects when they needed to, especially with the animals and with certain people. So more focus on makeup without blood.
They didn't need it. Really, they didn't need it.
No,
I don't think, honestly, I don't think the gore would have fit in the movie anyway.
With its comedic tone.
Yeah.
As well.
I think it just would have been, if they did, it would almost feel like in some ways an Evil Dead knockoff, or like a rip-off of it, because it's like too much gore for what.
Then again, there's a principle, if you're gonna use blood, fucking use it. Like, people have said that for a while. So if you have like a few scenes with a spot of blood, then just get rid of it. But if you're gonna use blood, fucking use it. This is what Evil Dead did. If we're gonna use blood, you might as well just dump gallons of it everywhere. Nightmare on Elm Street, if you're gonna use fucking blood, use it to come out of the fucking bed and go to the ceiling.
You had to bring that up, didn't you?
Sorry, that reminds me. Like over the weekend, I watched the Evil Dead 2 with the Bruce Campbell commentary. As you're talking about the blood, the scene where the blood shoots out of the wall and it's hitting him. They said it was originally supposed to be hoses. Here, all it was a room tilted on its side. They're dumping a 55-gallon barrel of blood onto Bruce Campbell. Sam Raimi's like, when Bruce is like, hey, what if I do if I'm gonna drown? He goes, and Sam Raimi's like, yo, just wave your arms up and down. We'll figure it out. Then you realize after the fact that that's what I was doing anyway. So that's what made me think of that. Like as soon as you started talking about blood.
So yeah, it wouldn't make sense if they used a little bit of blood in the movie anyway. So it would just got nixed.
Yeah.
But the movie itself, a really fun movie, really short. Like if they could do a sequel, I would watch it because I'm kind of curious to see where they would expand on it.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and this is probably where I say Fred Dekker was ahead of his time, because of like how we said like these two movies flopped and they really didn't have like box office go appeal. Like as much as like Monster Squad is cool, I can guarantee that like if I would have seen it even as a kid, I probably wouldn't have like wanted to go to the theater. Like even a trailer for Night of the Creeps, I wouldn't have wanted to go to the theater either. But with the way streaming is so big right now, this is a perfect movie for streaming. So is Monster Squad. Like if you would have advertised it and said like, yo, here it is on HBO Go or whatever, Max, whatever.
Yeah.
Like I think these would be like the perfect thing, like where it didn't require big box office to get. And I think if you would do a sequel to those movies, it would just fit.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, like I can't imagine that the budget would be so astronomically high either. And with the way they're filmed and the comedic chops with it, it would make it a little more family friendly and oriented, which they are. I mean, yeah, they have their adult moments, which kind of has a nice balance to, you know, like having kids involved, having adults involved that could be invested in like both Monster Squad and Night of the Creeps. So I think there was definitely something there that could resonate to now as far as like that look and appeal of the movie. And I think, you know, if they could probably do a 30, 40-year sequel and just take it straight to streaming.
Because most of the actors are still alive too. Like obviously, but we don't know what happened to them after the movies. 35 years later, I'm admitting my rage. And it would be kind of cool to see what happened to them right after each of those, even if they did both endings. So, like, if both endings existed, so obviously the infection's going to happen again. What would have happened to them? So it would have been a cool way to figure that out. It would be a cool way to see what's happening now in that universe. And honestly, like I said, goes back to Tom Atkins. I wouldn't give a fuck either way. Somehow he survived.
Do like a Dr. Loomis thing from Halloween 4. He got lit up in a freaking gas explosion. He should be a charred body. Instead, he's just got like a few burns on like the side of his face.
Yeah, no.
It's fine. That could be for Tom Atkins. Like he's a charred body smoking a cigarette walking down the street, and he's just got a little bit of burns on his face for the sequel.
I mean, his head did blow open, and I don't know how they're gonna patch that one up.
He grew another head.
Yeah,
because it's Tom Atkins. Even the slugs were like, what's up with this guy?
What else can we do?
Yeah.
We can reanimate another working head?
Say what?
Thrill me.
Throw me.
That's the sequel name, Thrill Me.
But
Yeah.
I didn't even acknowledge the fact this was rated R because it didn't even seem like it was.
No.
That's why I made the joke at the beginning of the episode because I'm like, yo, it was the amount of smoking it was, to be honest.
But what's the one thing to get your movie an instant rated R?
Tits.
Yeah.
So you got that in the movie, you're an instant R rating.
I mean, like, yeah, I could see that, but I felt like even if they wanted to cut it out, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary to the story.
They could cut it out. Yeah, they could.
But like you said, it is what it is. It was 80s. It was fantastic. It's a fun watch. Now that I've figured out plot holes, it pissed me off again. But like I said, I'm going to suggest this movie no matter what because it's a fun movie to watch.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And we have platforms. We have movies like In Search of Darkness to basically reignite those gems that you maybe have overlooked in the 80s, 90s, and so on and so forth. So,
I say this a lot. Like watching Last Drive-In, that's where I've started like rewatching other movies that I've seen multiple times, but it's more or less just getting the commentary, getting the behind-the-scenes stuff. That's like that gets me a little more like. Come on, I talked about Sleepaway Camp to Colin. He ended up watching it because like I was talking about some of the cool stuff they were talking about, and it's like it was a cool thing because obviously meeting her, but it was but it was like cool like getting the behind the scenes. Like I think that's as I'm getting older, as we're getting older, it's the fun of the stuff behind the movies as well as the movie itself. So,
oh, absolutely.
And I think that's why I enjoy this show so much. Like, it is pretty much just giving me the stuff that I would love to hear about with the actors that did them. And it was kind of cool. Like, it would be kind of cool to see Tom Atkins do that with one of his movies. Like, hell, obviously Night of the Creeps or even The Fog would be kind of cool to see.
That would be awesome.
Especially working with John Carpenter.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, twice. I mean, because you did Escape from New York with him, too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, like, as wow, tongue-tied. As we're getting older, as these actors are getting older, I think it's kind of cool seeing, like, yeah, they will relive doing some of this stuff because it's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, like, take, for instance, they're doing, Creepshow in the Fog at the Coliseum or the movie theater near Monster Mania.
Yes.
With Adrian Barbeau and Tom Atkins. So it might be one of those things where they're going to talk about doing both those movies.
Yeah, for sure.
And there could be a sequel to The Fog. There really could. What if The Fog ever came back and it's not settled on its 100-year plot of revenge and blood and the pirates basically want more? Or maybe some sort of bargain is not being upheld. So, I don't know. There's a lot of possibilities. They talked about a TV show at one point. But I would prefer a sequel. Yeah. Especially with some of these actors up there in age. Like, years have gone by, and holy shit, it's back.
Yeah, 40 years later, seeing Tom Atkins come out with that beard and that smoke, going, well, I've dealt with this before.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. But, yeah, it's kind of cool seeing, like, the stuff that's coming out for all this. So, like, Fred Dekker might have not seen the success in the 80s for these two movies, but he's probably seeing it now. Like, it's kind of cool. Like, it is, I feel like at the time, we're sleepers. Yeah. So now you're seeing, like, the success of each movie 30 years later, 20 years later, whatever. And it sucks because, like, you're at the time, you're like, oh, well.
I want the success now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, the availability of movies like in Blockbuster or video rentals wasn't quite as accessible as it was at that time. I mean, weren't they just starting, I think?
They were kind of starting. Yeah.
Yeah.
But, and they said, what was it, HBO was actually the reason why Monster Squad
got some play.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, like I said, I think a lot of it is because of like the marketing to his movies that didn't draw a crowd, and I said that I admit I definitely wouldn't rush to a theater to see it. It's not a knock on the movie itself. It's just like, I don't feel an urge to see it.
There's just other movies that you may want to watch more.
Yeah, there's like movies like that are fitted for the big screen. Mm-hmm. You know, like Batman '89. That was definitely a big screen movie. Something like Star Wars, or even Jaws.
Yeah,
absolutely.
It's the big stigma with horror. Like, most of them aren't for the big screen. It's for, now it'd be streaming. It'd be for, like, home viewing. Like, that's where most of the horror is going to get their play. Mm-hmm. Like, so you said this doesn't have a pull for it, but now it would. Mm-hmm. The streaming platform is gonna probably make stuff even better. Take, for instance, like them doing Conjuring 3 on HBO. That'll be a big pull because, like, not everybody wants to go to the theater to watch horror movies.
Well, also, this movie isn't like horror in the horror sense. Like, when I saw Psycho in the theaters, that totally changed my perspective of that movie. Like, I still watch it at home, but it definitely doesn't have the same feel. The theater added so much more to that film, like with the way the sound system is and the darkened environment, the bigger screen, and because it had the music that was a character in the movie itself. This doesn't really have music to play a character in the movie. It's more like a fun horror film. Like I said, adults and family can watch it, so it's not so scary, but it puts you in the Halloween season.
Yes.
I think if you have something like a Conjuring or an Exorcist or a Psycho or The Shining, yeah, you can watch them in the theater because that adds more to that horror element. When the movies kind of got away from that and gave it a little more fun, it was kind of like, well, you can watch it at home, and it really won't change much.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. With how streaming has grown in the past, almost 10 years now, because I just remember Netflix 2013, they were going to be a streaming platform for certain TV shows and movies, and it's just every studio has their own streaming service platform now. They all have it. So there's no end to the possibilities. I mean, look at the Zack Snyder's Justice League. No way in hell would anyone put out a 4-hour-long movie in theaters, but for streaming, why not? Why not just do it?
Why
not make a sequel that was to a movie that was 40 years in the past? Why not just do it on streaming? Because it's probably low risk in terms of finances, money, and you get people on board and excited about it. Just do it.
Well, it was the same concept like when Redbox came out, and that was a big deal. I mean, we saw movies on there that nobody even fucking heard of. I mean, hell, there were movies that The Rock was in that it was like, he was in this? Mm-hmm. You know, I mean, he's box office gold, and here he is like in some straight-to-DVD movie, and you're like, wait a minute, what?
What did he do?
Movies, man.
Yeah.
Make your money.
And now,
that paycheck.
Yeah, and now the streaming thing's just taken off into a stratosphere that's just unbelievable. I mean, streaming definitely isn't perfect by any means of the stretch. I mean, you can't go wrong with having a hard copy of the disc because you got so many like internet interferences or something, and the picture quality isn't as good as they say it is. I mean, it's still really good, but you get a better quality from the hard drive of the disc and the player itself. Yes.
Interviews. Yeah.
But I mean, as far as the testing ground and saying like, here's a 40-year sequel or whatever, here you go.
Yeah.
And like you said, John, a 4-hour movie. Yeah, nobody wants to be in a theater for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Jeff,
Dude,
come on.
We've watched Lord of the Rings. You know.
I know.
You know that it's a long ass movie.
No. I did not go see any of the Lord of the Rings in the movies in the theaters, and I saw them at home. I regret it.
Oh, jeez.
Dude, I watched those and The Hobbit, so I knew.
Yeah, I regret those too.
I regret The Hobbit.
The Hobbit did not need to be in 3 parts. I'll just say that. Just one movie. Guillermo del Toro directing the one movie. That would have been everything. Instead, it was in 3 parts.
Peter Jackson, fucking.
Every movie was 100 pages of the book. It was a 300-page book. The Hobbit is 300 pages, and yet they added so much to make it 1,000 pages in 3 movies. Didn't need to happen.
They're all overrated.
Yeah. But
come at me, bro.
I love the original Lord of the Rings, but yeah, I get what you're talking about. Especially when you're watching a 3.5 hour long movie at home. I gotta go to the bathroom. I can't pause a theater screen at a movie theater. So
Yo, stop it for a second.
Please shut the tape off. I gotta take a piss.
Yo, pause the movie. This asshole's on a cell phone. Knock it off.
Can you pause? I have a question. I didn't hear that. Can you put subtitles on? Oh, man. Favorite scenes?
Ooh.
Favorite scenes for Night of the Creeps?
Just anything with Tom Atkins in.
Yeah.
I don't have like a favorite scene that sticks out to me, so any scene with Tom Atkins, he was just the standout performance of it. Mm-hmm. You know, it goes to show that we love the guy. Yeah. Least favorite scenes without him.
Scenes without him.
So pretty much everything with Chris and Steve.
Yeah, fuck them.
What you're saying is you cut out 45 minutes of this movie, nothing that has Tom Atkins, just called the Atkins cut, and then
the Atkins cut.
The Atkins cut. I like that.
Night of the Creeps, the Atkins cut.
I'd make just about the same amount of sense, but just like a Star Wars scroll in the beginning, just like and then just hit play.
There you go.
Aliens dropped the canister. Play.
Just put up the silent movie treatment to insert some of the Chris and JC shit.
Yeah.
Shit happens. Tom Atkins wasn't here. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, really. Fraternity assholes.
John?
Favorite scene, definitely the zombie siege sequence. When all the fraternity brothers are infected from the bus that tipped over somehow. In the weird way that it did. You got the famous line. You got the zombies trying to break in. You got the 360 panning shot of Tom Atkins shooting them with a 6-shooter. The whole third act, the zombie siege sequence was amazing. I want to say every scene without Tom Atkins is my least favorite, but I'm just going to go back to that beginning because that language thing with the aliens and the subtitles, the 2 different subtitles, that annoyed the shit out of me.
Yeah, Tom Atkins wasn't in it.
And Tom Atkins wasn't in it. I mean, aliens look really goofy. I mean, I guess that was the point because it's a horror comedy to make them that goofy. They were pink, short, shriveled aliens with, I don't remember what they looked like. They just look. Yeah, I'm looking at your shirt. That's right. I'm looking at Jeff's shirt, and there's the alien right there.
Yeah, holding the canister.
Holding the canister.
It kind of looks like Chucky the doll, just like shaved and naked.
Yeah, with no hair. A hairless Chucky doll.
Yeah. With a fat ass. You see the side?
Yeah. Camera pans in on their fat asses as they're running away and shooting each other. Yeah. I don't know. The subtitle thing really bothered me. So that whole thing that was probably my least favorite. But yeah, the zombie siege sequence was my favorite scene, without a doubt.
The Atkins cut. Are you gonna, email Fred Dekker and go, can we have the Atkins cut of this movie?
Can we get a whole Shout Factory so they can make the Atkins cut for
Is he on Twitter?
Huh?
Is he on Twitter?
Look it up.
Instagram?
We'll
All right, hold on.
Thrill me.
See, honestly, my favorite scene is probably going to be the whole interrogation scene with the screaming like banshees. Just because like how Tom Atkins is like very condescending towards them and how funny that whole thing really is.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, now that I was screaming about it earlier, probably them opening the cryogenics is probably my least favorite.
It doesn't make any sense. But yeah, you make a great point, Jeff. Why the fuck is there a body in cryogenic storage below in a college campus?
Well, actually, that was Colin's original thought. But then I was like trying to think about it myself. But there was a morgue down there too, so like that's where the coroner worked, and that's where the one body came from after he got his throat ripped out.
Yeah.
So that leads me to believe there had to be a medical facility either on top or on campus because now they have bodies there.
Yeah, they do.
Yo, is he on there?
Nah, I didn't see him on. Twitter. I'm looking on Instagram now.
Okay.
Colin is literally like, looking up Fred Dekker to see if he is on social media right now.
Oh wait, Fred Dekker film.
We have to know if it's really him or somebody posing as him.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think this is him. It says 0 posts, 136 followers.
No,
yeah, that's definitely.
It's just a picture of Fred Dekker from the 80s.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I don't think he is, guys. I tried.
It's okay. You tried.
Although I did find these nice pictures of Christina Hendricks on here.
Oh my god. So wait, are you gonna start an internet campaign? Just do the Atkins cut of Night of the Creeps now?
I mean, we can. Tell you the truth, I could probably just put it on my editing software and do it myself.
Shout Factory seems to be the go-to place to get a cut that you want, especially when it came to Book of Shadows, Blair Witch 2. Shout Factory, make this the director's original vision. Shout Factory, please do this and do that. You have great Blu-ray covers.
Yeah.
Oh, what was another one that he said? Oh, Crow City of Angels. He said that Shout Factory should do the director's cut of that, too.
Mm-hmm. There's a lot of films out there that deserve a second chance. I mean, this one deserves the Atkins cut.
Oh, my God.
Hell, I'll superimpose us.
Wait, is the fraternity brothers that get to...
Yeah, like, we'll make it our own different thing. Just be like, Tom Atkins, you the man. Yeah.
Let's propose this to him in May.
Listen, I'm going to have him sign my stuff first before we do anything stupid. I'll go first, and then you guys can...
Yeah, let's not make a bad impression right off the bat. Let's have him sign things and do pictures, and then we'll just ease in our idea.
Just slide it across the table. This is for you. No.
Yeah.
Imagine that, like, every movie that he's in, just do the Atkins cut. Just literally...
Yeah.
Just the Atkins cut.
We just, like, recorded footage of us in there just being like, yo, what if you said thrill me? And just go, thrill me.
Yeah. I would love him to just, like, because I had the one thing I'm going to have him sign is the anniversary cut of The Fog, the 40th anniversary. I want him to say thrill me, but, like, no, that wouldn't really work. No, that wouldn't
throw me on the fog.
I just love that line so much. Throw me, like, no, he doesn't say that in The Fog. Don't have him do. It's like he could be offended by that. Yeah, he might be pretty offended by that.
He'd probably kick your ass while smoking and drinking. Who knows?
I'd be honored if that happened.
I don't know. I think John Carpenter, if he ever met him, would be like, why the fuck do you want me to put thrill me on the fog?
That would be something I would do, though.
That would be very offensive. Oh man.
No, I'd want to. No, who's a really shitty horror director?
Steve Miner.
Oh yeah, I'd go up to him and be like, "Yo, can you put down? I love the Nightmare on Elm Street." No, I actually wouldn't do that because he'd take my money and run. Fuck that guy.
The guy from Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh fuck him! Oh man, I'd
I hate him
fight
so much I don't even know his name.
I'd fight that guy.
I'd watch.
Seriously, you're marketed as the last Friday movie, and you only have Jason in for what, a total of 18 minutes, if that. It's bullshit.
I like how this has come back
This
in
is
multiple episodes.
Fucking hate that
This is
guy.
always going to come back. Because no matter what we talk about, if you bring up Friday the 13th and then you bring up Part 9, it's gonna
happen. Just like Bruce Willis happens to find his way in a lot of our other episodes in Tom Atkins.
Hence why they're the mascots.
yeah.
The poster boys of our obsession of movies.
Yeah. For the show.
For the show. Oh man.
Because honestly, like we do talk about Kane Hodder a lot too,
Yep.
but because
Michael Keaton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But somehow, some way, Tom Atkins always does, and Bruce Willis always does somehow make his way.
Yeah.
This isn't 7 Degrees of Kevin Bacon. This is all about Bruce Willis and
Yeah.
Tom Atkins. It's 6 degrees. It's 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon, whatever it is.
Yeah, whatever.
But I think we, for just a small, underrated gem, we covered quite a bit about this movie.
Mm-hmm.
I'll definitely see it again. Absolutely.
No, I have no problem watching this movie again. I found it to be a lot of fun.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, like I said, I think Tom Atkins clearly has a standout performance in the movie and steals the show, and rightfully so. It's like borderline camp with, like, I don't know. It's like got camp to it, but
Camp is definitely the word to describe it. Yes.
but it's not so overdone.
But I also felt like the movie knew what it was.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I said. It's like a love letter to all of that because like it knew what it was. He knew exactly what he needed to get that 80s feel. He also knew what he needed to make it that sci-fi horror. So it's like it has everything we all like to view, but the comedy is what makes it. Even as subtle as some of it really is, it's there.
Absolutely.
I mean, I'd probably say, like, this is one of those movies where if people would say, like, how would you grade it? I'd probably say, like, a C+ or a B-. You know, it's not going to be this all-star classic. You got to have a certain taste for it. Mm-hmm. And the value of it's not bad at all.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think it has, like, a great musical score to it. Yeah. I mean, which it doesn't, like, make or break a film, but it does add another oomph to the product.
Always. Oh, yeah.
Wait, there's music in this?
Yeah, I know, right?
I was too busy screaming about zombies.
I mean, it might not even be a movie that you want to watch, like, at a certain part of the year unless you have a certain taste to say, like, yo, I wouldn't mind watching this tonight. Mm-hmm. You may not get some of the comedy with it. Yeah. But you may enjoy it for the Halloween season. If it gets you in the Halloween mood, yeah, go for it.
Let's have an 80s week. Let's pop it in, or it's like the anniversary, 40th anniversary coming up for it.
Whoa. We got
hold on a second here.
Old dick.
When the 40th anniversary does happen, I'm not saying it happened. No, there's no way it happened already.
That's what I'm saying.
2026, that's when it will come out.
Don't be a dick.
But yeah, I wouldn't wait that long to see the movie. But yeah, it has its place. It's just good, campy fun. Like I said, a good starter movie for a career going forward for Fred Dekker. And yeah, I wish he made more films. I wish these were successful, but I'm glad they at least have their place in time now.
I think he still could make movies now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But to tell you the truth, I mean, for anybody who has made films, it can be really exhausting.
It always is.
I even heard John Carpenter say that, and even Tarantino, they said it's a young man's game. And I know that guys like Tarantino and John Carpenter, they've only made like a handful of films. And I think it's because like a lot of their films are pretty solid. I mean, John Carpenter kind of had some hit or misses there.
No, it happens with almost
Yeah, it
everybody.
happens with them all. But
I heard that. Yeah.
Ghost of Mars.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
I know. Yeah.
At least Natasha Henstridge was in it.
She was.
But it's not like, I mean, Martin Scorsese, I know, is one guy who just cranks them out, and I'm like, how many of them are really good?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's another one that does like 4-hour-long cuts, man.
Yeah, it's like
Ridley Scott. I mean, Ridley Scott has a lot of hits and misses, but I give a ton of props to that man for being in his 70s. And there
80s.
are some 80s, he pumps out like 2 or 3 movies a year sometimes. That's how gung-ho he is about making these films at his age. So, more power to him.
You see the bags under his eyes, though? Holy fuck.
Yeah. He also
like, does he get any sleep?
I don't think he does sleep.
Probably not.
Or about them fucking aliens coming after him.
Yeah.
Gotta tell everybody.
He created aliens. He made aliens what they are today.
Going back to the Fred Dekker thing, maybe he's just happy and content not doing it anymore, especially at this point. It's kind of like
he's still involved. He's like kind of under the radar with writing projects or being like a script doctor or working with alongside other directors and screenwriters. He's still very much involved, but not as much as he was sitting in the director's chair.
And he may like that. He may like being a project consultant more and just saying, okay, hey, you guys put the camera and the everything together here. Kind of like how maybe John Carpenter might have had some input on Halloween 2018 for coming back as a producer.
I think he did, absolutely. I mean, he helped write the score with his son and everything.
Yeah.
So he definitely had some creative input, and I'm sure he probably threw in a couple ideas. He had to have been a consultant because this was his brainchild. He created the lore of Michael Myers. So.
He also did Halloween 2 and 3, I'm just saying.
We produced Halloween 3. He produced Halloween 2. I wish he kind of directed that one, but it was Rick Rosenthal. Fuck you, you made Halloween Resurrection.
But sometimes the older you get, it just gets too exhausting. And I can understand. I mean, there were times in college where it was just so hard to make a 2-minute short. Never mind an hour and a half, 2-hour movie. So
it's a completely draining process. We're talking month and a half, 2 months of principal photography. Almost every day you're shooting 12 to 15 hours, even more, depending on what you have to do that day. Stressing
over money, stressing over union laws and scheduling. I mean, it is a very particular process, and the ideal of directing is actually like, if you can do it in one take, perfect. But yeah, but you always want safety takes or just in cases and stuff like that.
It depends on what you're shooting. If it's incredibly difficult and if you have to do it multiple times, you're losing more money for a certain shot.
And plus,
if you can get it in one take, great, move on.
And plus, if the actors also feel like they can do it better, or if they screw up, I mean, even people in the behind the scenes screw up too. So it's like, everybody's at fault and everybody's on board with each other, and just sometimes it works and then some other times it doesn't. Mm-hmm. But so with that being said, I can kind of understand why maybe he just is like happy to just sit back and say, okay, I'll just interject some 2 cents. But as far as getting really hands on into it now, it's like, I'm good.
No, that's fine. A lot of people have done that before, so
there might be one more where he says, okay, I got some demand to come back, and I think it might be fun to do it, and he might do it again.
A film for a streaming platform.
Yep.
Yeah, honestly.
It's very possible.
I also think it's pretty impressive that he wrote this screenplay in a week.
Yeah.
He wrote Night of the Creeps in 1 week, so I guess the ideas were so fresh in his head, and he knew exactly how he wanted to have the beginning, middle, and end, that it was done in 1 week. So scripts go through months, years of development hell, yet this one was greenlit and ready to go in a week.
Well, there might have also been changes on set.
It could, yeah.
Like, the only time I ever heard a story about a script that never changed was Unforgiven.
Yeah, where it was on the blacklist for so long, and Clint Eastwood didn't want to change a thing about it when he finally was like, okay, let's make this film.
And they said that nothing changed in it. Usually get the highlights and the different colored pages and stuff, and they said it didn't change from the very beginning.
Because something always gets changed.
Exactly.
In the screenplay.
So that's a tribute to itself.
Yes.
All right, you guys have anything else to add? The
covered.
Night of the Creeps.
We've gone above and beyond for this one.
The only thing I am going to say is there was a movie in the 50s, I believe, called Night of the Creeps, but I don't know if it had any influence or any sort of inspiration for this one.
I'm kind of looking it up now. Don't worry, guys. Let me fire up IMDb. Let's go.
And I'm not sure about this, but I believe our friend Lord Damien McDonovan may have even done an episode on it.
Okay. I know there's a lot of, like, night movies. Night of the Living Dead, Night of the Ghouls, Night of the Creeps.
Night of the Dracula.
The Dracula?
It could have been. It could be.
Oh,
I mean,
like shit, man.
I just mean like it's there, you know. Night of the Vampire, Night of the Comet.
There you go.
Yeah, that's actually a fun movie to watch. Like, there's no point to it. But
There's no point to the movie, but
Night of the Walking Dead. I don't know. Night of the Fog. Night of the Halloween.
I'm just gonna start making movies. Just go night of.
Yeah.
Night of walking my dog while being pissed.
Night of the Nightmare on Elm Street.
Night of the Exorcist. Night of the Shining. Oh wow! Imagine that.
All right.
Now we'll just end this one. We're gonna go all fucking day.
No ideas right there. Yeah.
Pretty much, I feel like this whole conversation can continue in text message now.
Night of the Jaws.
Night of the Demons.
Did you find the original Night of the Comet, or what? I mean, Night of the Creeps, or what?
No, it's just a bunch of other ideas like TV episodes, or it's all TV episodes that I've been able to find.
Oh, okay.
So there was an episode called Night of the Creeps, and no other films. But maybe he found something, Damien McDonovan. Maybe he found something that I don't know about because he probably did extensive research. I just fired up IMDb and typed in Night of the Creeps. Anything other than the '86 film. On that note.
Yeah, I guess that's going to wrap things up for our Night of the Creeps episode then.
Oh my God. As Jeff composes
What's wrong,
himself.
Jeff?
No, I'm good.
I think we broke Jeff right now.
Yeah, we totally got on the topic there for like almost 20 minutes.
Of course we did.
Was it something we said?
Exactly. That's how it always happens.
So with that being said, we shall sign off. This is Colin Peters.
John Rochetter. Were you expecting me to say something else?
I was expecting something.
Thrill me.
Dick.
Thank you all again for listening. Stay safe. Stay crazy.
Thrill me.
Please, somebody help me.
Oh, yeah.